Tarot in the dark time again. So my ears were ringing and funny, very funny. I kept seeing this card in my mind's eye, and as I shuffled, right now it ended up showing itself. And I have been pulling it quite frequently in readings, and I didn't always leave the title card in the deck. I used to always take all the title cards out, but for the last almost a year, I've been leaving them in, and I've been getting in some readings that it represents some sort of contract. And for this reading, I've been getting soul contracts. Soul contracts is a big thing right now. So I wanted to channel what the message is around soul contracts. So I'm getting the 6 of Swords. There's a leaving energy. A 10 of Swords. Betrayal. Painful endings. And the Lover's card, which I don't want to show. The Lover's card. I feel like a lot of people we all have soul contracts, right? We have contracts, karmic contracts, and then soulmate contracts. And soulmates are not just romantic. People that we are intended to share a path with in our lives for any number of reasons. And sometimes, at some point, most soul contracts come to an end. Like you might have had a childhood friend, like from when you were little, and then somehow you just fell off. You just went your separate ways, and you've never seen or heard from them again, but they were special to you. There was something significant about them being in your life, or your being in their lives at the time that you were. Something that about just the energy that was created between you and this person, or the things that you did, or you might have needed certain emotional support, or them, or it can be anything, any number of things. And soulmate contracts tend to be loving, supportive, easy. There's just this sense of peace and home, this comfortability with soulmate contracts. And then karmic contracts can be, they can tend to be good at first because our vibrational frequency matches theirs. But then what tends to happen is one person their vibrational frequency might elevate, or in simpler terms, you change, but change for the better. And then it sounds, like bashing on the one person in the dynamic, but it's not. You elevate, you level up in some way, spiritually, financially, mentally, emotionally, in some way, and then the contract needs to end, the relationship needs to end. And these karmic relationships can have a hold on us. And when I say karmic relationships, there's such a bad connotation to it, but the low vibrational energy, the karmic energy, is not the person, it's the dynamic. remember you were a frequency match at some point, so um, you can't really hate on them for, oh, they are so negative or they do these types of things or whatever, because your energy is matched at some point and you were attracted to who they were, what they did, their energy, because of some part of you that resonated with them. But this part of both of you probably needed to be seen and to evolve and increase the frequency, the vibrational frequency, um, alchemize that. And often one does and the other one doesn't. So, for instance, you meet a friend and you both have an interest in the same thing. So you bond over it, and it can be a good or a bad thing, and good or bad is relative. Um, but say you meet somebody that's a homebody, and you're both homebodies, and you're both introverts, so you both just chill by yourself. Um, and so now you can do that together. But you're not necessarily meant to stay introverted in that way your whole entire life. Um, you're most likely meant to find something within that period where you are more isolated and tend to be by yourself. Something needs to grow within you, something needs to be nurtured, something needs to be understood, mastered within you. It can be a physical craft, like maybe you're a painter or whatever, or you write music. Um, And then at some point, you're meant to showcase this ability and you're meant to evolve. You're meant to find your power, your confidence, your self worth, whatever it is. And then you need to level up. And the level up is like any sport or building muscle, or, it takes practice and it takes repetition and it takes effort. It's like climbing a mountain or running a marathon or whatever. The more you do it, the more strength you build. And as you're climbing the mountain, it's really, really difficult. But once you get to the top, um, your your whole body is leveled up. Your mind, your spirit is leveled up because you had to navigate through this climb in so many ways to get to the top. And when you get to the top, now you might need to adjust to the altitude a little bit, but you have been prepared through the climb to be able to stand on top of that summit, um, and be prepared for whatever needs to happen at that point. So we get prepared for every phase of our lives through. So the karmic things are not fun usually and can be painful, and feel negative and toxic, or toxic, not necessarily toxic, but it prepares you for the next level that you need, the next phase of your life. And often we can stay stuck here, um, entangled in the past. Like it was good at one point and then it wasn't. Is it going to get good again? Should I stay? Should I leave? The Six of Swords energy. Should I stay? Should I leave? Should I go? But the water gets rougher and tougher and it gets more turbulent and less pleasant to be there, and you have to move. Um, and I think every one of us knows in your soul, in your heart, when something is coming to an end. You almost see it coming in the distance. This thing's gonna end. It's gonna get bad. And some of us, we exit rather quickly. You see it coming and you exit. And sometimes it's not that easy. Sometimes the person, the thing, the place won't let you go without a fight, and you can doubt yourself. Maybe I'm supposed to stay here. Maybe I'm not supposed to leave. Or maybe you know you are supposed to leave and you're ready and willing, but you don't know how. And all of those factors is still preparation for where you're going. But often things need to get really painful and really bad before we actually make that move. But once you do, you find these soul bonds that are divinely guided, overlooked by angels. It's like the stars aligning type stuff where you create something magnificent. Um, it can be a family, it can be a new endeavor, it can be a new discovery, it can be so many things. Um, but you create something that is overlooked by the angels. And there's a different type of feeling, energy when it's a soul bond. Karmic bonds can feel very addictive in a negative way, and soul bonds can feel very addictive in a positive way. Like it's healthy, and you love it, and you want more, but it makes you better on all levels. Like you'll look better, you'll move better, your finances will be better, your everything will be better. Um, so yeah, what else about these soul contracts do we need to know? There's the Knight of Swords at the bottom. It's almost like once you know, you know, and when you need to be out, you need to be out. Pardon me. And you get to the point where you get so fed up with the situation being so bad that there can be arguments. Um, but honest, truthful communication is what gets you untangled. You have to be honest and you have to be truthful. Whether that's with yourself or the other person, or the situation. Maybe you just need to speak about it on a large scale for others to know about it. But honest communication is necessary. And whether it gets bad and it's, like gossip and drama, or it's sincere and honest and vulnerable and like, hey, um, this is what's happening. We both see it. Let's be amicable, that type of thing. Um, which can be difficult to get to that point. You really need to dig deep within your soul and your heart to be able to be that vulnerable. Often it will be met with understanding, but sometimes the other person might be so rooted in the past, in their lower aspect, that they're not going to want to hear and see you. And at that point, um, where even if you're honest, vulnerable, and sincere, and just caring, but know that this needs to end, it can still be bad. But honestly, it usually comes back around, and whether you never see this person again and things are never the same between you again, they, on a soul level, understand, okay, I see what was happening here, and there's sort of a forgiveness energy. Or you might have an amicable relationship, but um, separately, not together anymore. And I feel like this can be, work dynamics, it can be divorce, it can be um, children separating from their parents, adult children, to start, to live a more independent life. It can be leaving a friend group, or um, tradition, cultural settings. It can be many different things. We also have the Queen of Pentacles and the Page of Wands. I'm hearing glow up. So usually after this cycle ends, and you now either meet your soul tribe or your soulmates, or you find your place. You know, you could be leaving a corporate job to become a creative of some sort, and you have a glow up because internally that love energy, you radiate it, and people will see it. um and you might get to that point and think, why didn't I leave sooner? Why didn't I see this? But divine timing is always at play. Although you can lessen your suffering by following your internal compass and your higher guidance. And this usually brings a lot of abundance, and not just for yourself, but for others as well. Um, we might think that, oh, if I leave this job, they're not going to be happy because I do it really well. They're dependent on me. Or if I leave this, my family, to go and study abroad, they need me here and I should probably stay. But then if you do go and study abroad, you can come back and, help your family, maybe not in the same way, but in a better way. Or if I leave this relationship, this person's going to hate me, they're going to fall apart, they're dependent on me in some way. But maybe that is the catalyst to them finding their independence, their thing, their vibe, um, their personal happiness, because maybe their happiness is now solely dependent on you. The Four of Cups, and it's a blessing in disguise type of thing. You don't see what the universe is trying to do from where you're at, because we have a lower vantage point and a lower perspective. And then if you go on the climb, on the journey, then there I shuffled so much and it came back out again. Um, it takes you to a new place, often that you can't even see what it would be like, but you can sense it, and it brings you happiness and content and satisfaction. And we have both the King and the Queen of Pentacles. um I'm hearing boss energy. You become what you need to become. You become stable, grounded, and it's almost like manifesting abundance through this way. Going through this journey helps you be balanced and morally sound, and um, just wise with your money, wise with your energy. Because it's like often if you're not prepared for, say, financial wealth or abundance, or even a love relationship, you can meet the one, the person, the love of your life, the being that was created for you, and then you can mess it up if you were not ready, prepared for them on many levels. um and it can be tricky, but ultimately it works out. And sometimes we just take detours, but we end up where we need to end up anyway. But if you're like me, I'd much rather get there easier and smoother and quicker than necessarily taking the long route. But the long route can also be a scenic route. So either way, it pans out. The Ten of Wands. This is energy of almost being home. The last stretch, feeling very burdened, but it's like he's carrying all these wands and it's heavy and he's tired and he wants to get home. But once he gets home, he can use those wands in a very creative way. He's probably gathered them up for a very specific purpose. Um, and it wouldn't be wise for him to drop those wands and then just walk the rest of the way home because he's tired. He might as well finish it because he's right there. And it's gonna be worth it. A Page of Pentacles. It's like taking the small steps to getting to where you need to go. But if you enjoy the process, and if you just keep that enthusiasm and positivity in your heart, even though it's hard, the journey usually goes a lot quicker than you think. And now we have the Page of Cups as well. You have to visualize the end goal, when it gets rough and when it's exhausting and it's painful and you can't see the end and it's dark. You need to be curious and, that childlike wonder where you imagine the impossible. He's got a fish in the cup here. It's like things that can't be perceived, where people don't believe it's possible, that dreamer energy. You have to, sort of be a little naive and a little delusional, but in a good way. And then we have the devil. um it's the energy of when you're stuck in a really bad place. You have to be able to daydream, visualize, fantasize about um, what you know should be and could be for you, um, as if it is, and feel it on an emotional level, see it in a mental level, speak about it, write about it, dream about it, take steps towards it, even if it's the steps is not directly related to it. It might still be related to it. So, for instance, as a writer, um, I want to be writing most of the time, but um, going out and taking a walk, going to the supermarket, watching a movie, whatever, it doesn't matter, having a conversation with somebody. I am um, often unconsciously um, finding things to write about, having experiences. There's sort of this energy of a puzzle coming together in your head, different aspects, making connections, not just socially, um, but emotionally and mentally. It's like joining the dots. And at the end of the day, you have a bigger picture, a broader picture. The Four of Swords. Rest is productive as well. Often, when we are in precarious situations, we end up praying a whole lot, spending time alone, reflecting. And this process is sort of like an integration process, like things hit different when you're in this place. Um, so you almost have to go into the valley, the depths, to be able to appreciate the heights. 22 minutes already. See, I usually, sometimes a 5 minute reading can feel really long to me, but I'm over 22 minutes now, and that felt like 2 minutes. How do we end this off? The Three of Wands, ships coming in, Nine of Pentacles, financial independence, being good on your own, um, the Moon, marrying secrets, mystery, and the Seven of Swords. The Seven of Swords gets a bad rap, but it's good or bad, negative or positive, depending on the context. I'm hearing having fun with it. I like to say get cocky with it when things get really bad. Sometimes you have to get cocky with it, but in the sense that um, humble confidence, like these bad situations can humble you, but you still need to find your power um, in a strategic way. It can seem sneaky, but eh, there's these subtle differences between being deceitful in a bad way and being strategic in a way as to resolve things in the best possible way. But someone's ship's coming in, things are going to be good. You might be alone. Um, you might need to be alone with your abundance or with some good news for a while. Um, so that you can acclimate and you can integrate and process. And it's always better to find your feet on your own. Well, not always, most of the time, unless you have someone who can hold your hand and still allow you to be autonomous, who can be with you, but it doesn't now go back to the karmic situation to get codependent again and toxic or bad. um, you have to be able to now, in this new space, you exist in a different way where you can be connected but still be an individual, still maintain your uniqueness. And that's another thing that's been coming through, your authenticity, because we need to be able to integrate with each other in so many levels. But there's still something specific that you bring to um, the universe, the world, and you need to be able to maintain that and not lose that. And often we can lose hope with our journeys and our goals, and our visions, our dreams, because sometimes it, like, we feel like we get so close and then it disappears or it falls apart, um, because I like to say love won't let you lose yourself or mess it up. So it sometimes takes you back to the starting block or delays you so things can align in a better way. I hope that is helpful and makes sense for someone. There's something around soul contracts ending and beginning now. Old soul contracts ending, new soul contracts beginning. And this can be, physically leaving one job for another, leaving, but it feels major. It feels so huge, like a whole life overhaul type of energy. And I feel like, on a collective world aspect as well, this is what's happening. It's like a pivotal point in the history of humanity. But then again, the history of humanity seems to have been reset a number of times, which is a topic for another day.